So good afternoon, everyone, and we'll be back to Simone de Beauvoir. And today we shall be speaking on another very important and significant aspect uh, that we need to know while understanding the intellectual background of Simone de Beauvoir. And this one is Beauvoir and the idea of transcendence. Now, Beauvoir and the idea of transcendence, uh, to reach that particular understanding, we need to go through certain passages. And I think this not so elaborated, but I will try my best to make it clear as much as possible. We know it very well that Simone de Beauvoir, as a thinker, as an activist, and as a writer, she had some grave, very serious contribution to the study of phenomenology, the existential phenomenology that she was attached to, that she thought over and over, and that she wrote on that particular platform. Now, before I move forward, I would like to say something all about what do I mean by phenomenology. Now, phenomenology is a very critical philosophical term. I hope most of us know. Still, I think it's necessary to have some discussion regarding phenomenology. It is actually a philosophical study of that, understanding of experience and also consciousness. Experience and consciousness, how do these two things operate in us? How we go for such kind of philosophical inquiry, our processes of experiences and our processes of consciousness, how do these two things operate? How do we cope with these particular aspects? This is all about the particular platform and the branch of knowledge in which this understanding actually goes into. We call it phenomenology. Now, phenomenology is a kind of an early 20th century thought, and it was popularized by Edmund Husserl and so many later thinkers. But somehow this, phenomenology, existential phenomenology, in which we find Simone de Beauvoir talked a lot and wrote, so many things. And she had some great contribution. Now, these are some basic ingredients that we need to know, because if we would like to reach that magnum opus by Simone de Beauvoir, the second sex, then we cannot divert our journey of this, existential phenomenology. And one text, she wrote some brilliant text in the 1940s, some philosophical text, I must say. In the 1940s, two very important philosophical texts that Simone de Beauvoir wrote. One is Pyrrhus and Cineas. Pyrrhus and Cineas, that I will be speaking on this particular essay today. Pyrrhus and Cineas was published in 1944 and also came out in 1947, another very important philosophical essay. And the name of the essay is The Ethics of Ambiguity. Now, the Ethics of Ambiguity in one hand and Pyrrhus at Cineas on the other, these two texts talk a lot about this philosophical inquiry, this philosophical understanding, more and more. And also, in the 1950s, she wrote some other philosophical, thoughts and observations in two essays. One is, Must We Burn Sad? Sad was a kind of a thinker. He had his own kind of a different philosophical mind, a critical mind, and it requires separate discussion, not in this platform today. And the another essay that was written by Simone de Beauvoir in the 1950s. This one is Bridget, Bardot, and the Lolita syndrome. So we find gradually Simone de Beauvoir is becoming more and more philosophy-centric, and she is trying her best to, uh, you know, put some of the best understanding, some of the best ideas in this particular platform. Now, I have just mentioned two important essays in the 1940s and two other important essays, in the 1950s. Now, it was in that 1940s, Beauvoir was still in a kind of a dilemma. What kind of dilemma? The dilemma with the particular term that we are already familiar with. This one is existentialism. Now, of course, existential crisis, existential understanding that she was already introduced to very much. And she knew it well also. But somehow the term existentialism, she was not familiar with, or she till then was not in a position to be attached to it. And the very same thing happened in the case of Sartre that we have discussed already. Now, in between, we are introduced to another very important character, and she is Jean Grenier. Now, Jean Grenier was a teacher and acquaintance of Sartre. And it was Jean Grenier who actually commissioned Simone de Beauvoir to write that philosophical text essay that I just mentioned. This one is Pyrrhus at Cineas. Now, Pyrrhus at Cineas is a very important essay because we need to talk a little bit about this particular essay of 1944, Pyrrhus at Cineas. Now, Pyrrhus and Cineas, this particular title directly connects us to the some of the mythical dimensions, because these two names, Pyrrhus and Cineas, are actually two names of the ancient Greek culture, history, and myth. Now, in these names, there lies a kind of a philosophical question. Pyrrhus was a Greek king. Pyrrhus, a Greek king, and he belonged to that Hellenistic branch of, genealogy of the kings. And a great warrior, no doubt. Later, he became the king of Epirus. Epirus is a place. And this Pyrrhus was a very strong opponent to the Romans. So naturally, regarding valor, regarding capacity, regarding warmanship, in no way Pyrrhus was a kind of a failure. Rather, Pyrrhus was a kind of a character having that omnipotent, that kind of a, almost like Alexander, that Pyrrhus is actually popular with. Now, Pyrrhus had a friend and also an advisor. A friend first and advisor later. And he was no other than Cineas. So Cineas, no doubt, is a very important character. Now, Cineas was not only an advisor. Rather, Cineas was a man of wisdom and knowledge. And he was the direct pupil of Demosthenes. We often are familiar with Demosthenes. Demosthenes was a kind of a orator, a philosopher, no doubt, but he is basically popular as a, an orator, a brilliant speaker. And Demosthenes is one of the very significant character if we think of that ancient Greece. Why? Because Demosthenes, no doubt he became a very famous orator later on, but actually Demosthenes had very big problem. The problem of stammering. He couldn't pronounce words perfectly. And he had that problem of stammering. And because of the problem of stammering, we find that Demosthenes had a kind of, psychological problem, more and more. the more he tried, he couldn't pronounce words perfectly. Now, this Demosthenes to, how to tackle the situation, how to, get up to that very level to become an orator. So an orator, so one day he went to the nearby seashore, as the popular myth basically known to us. He went to the nearby shore, and then he took out some of the, pebbles, some of the, stones, and then put them in the mouth. And putting them in the mouth, he started pronouncing words. He started continuing words, and that he did continuously, more and more. It was such a kind of a thing that he continued on until he became successful. And it was something unbelievable, an event that we find in ancient Greece, that this Demosthenes one day became a very popular orator, and that no one could ever imagine of earlier. Now think of Demosthenes, and Cineas, the character that we are discussing today, was the direct pupil of that Demosthenes. And Pyrrhus actually was regarded, considered, adored, loved by Pyrrhus and Cineas. They had a very good relationship. So it was a kind of a conversation taking place in that very philosophical text by Simone de Beauvoir, Pyrrhus and Cineas. Now, Pyrrhus, almost like Alexander, that I gave a kind of an analogy that you can easily compare, who was conquering one kingdom after another one, another, and then another way. Now, one day Cineas had a very definite question to Pyrrhus. And what was the question? It was a kind of a philosophical question, I'd rather say. The question is that, what is the plan of Pyrrhus after conquering the next empire? After conquering the next empire, the way Pyrrhus is going on conquering one empire after another empire. So what will be the, plan of Pyrrhus after conquering the next empire? Now, naturally, it is a kind of a very subtle question, and a question that is very grave, with some moral ideas, a question that requires some in-depth, introspective answer. Now, Pyrrhus stopped for a while, and then Pyrrhus gradually replied, okay, after the last, conquest, what he is planning to do, he is planning to take rest. He is planning to take rest, and he thinks that that will be enough for him. No more conquering after that. So such kind of reply instigated in the mind of Cineas to ask more questions to Pyrrhus. Okay, fine. So when such kind of reply was received by Cineas, then again he asked Pyrrhus, okay, if you are thinking of that, you are going to take rest soon after the last, conquering of that empire. So why are you making trouble? Why are you putting you in trouble? Why are not you actually taking rest at this very moment? What are the reasons of this meaningless, putting pressure on your mind, on your body, on your, total construction, and you are actually moving ahead of, having such kind of difficulties, taking risks in life? Why are not you taking rest at this very hour? Now, that is the question all about. So we often find that philosophical understandings are actually come up with such discussions. Don't you remember in the famous Gita, the Gita, the same philosophical questions were taking place between two very significant characters. One is Arjuna and the another one is the Lord Krishna. So again, just before the war, Pandava and Kaurava, the same philosophical questions came up, and they had certain question and answer replies took place between them, and that ultimately helped Arjuna to get enlightenment and to give, and he received certain ideas what he should do at that very hour. Now, Beauvoir comes up at this very point in which Pyrrhus and Cineas are actually there conversing. Now, the question of Cineas, no doubt, is a very haunting kind of a question, that why should we take projects after projects? Why shouldn't we take rest? So, don't you think this is the right time to take rest and we shouldn't go for new ventures anymore? And somehow, according to Simone de Beauvoir, whatever the questions on the part of Cineas were, she found there is a kind of an authenticity on the part of Pyrrhus. Because we need to go beyond. We should not to stop at this very hour. We need to move forward. We cannot stop everything right at the moment, and we cannot, put all our ideas, all our workings, shut them down immediately. Okay, enough of enough. So why should I act more? Why should I, venture more? Enough of enough ventures are done. So it is the very high time to take rest. It is the very high time to be here at this very hour. Now, somehow Beauvoir finds in the answers of Pyrrhus that, it is more authentic kind of answer, that we should move forward. Now, Beauvoir thinks that the kind of statements made by Pyrrhus, ultimately, that he is going to rest, it lacks a kind of an individual who is closing down, shutting down the power of imagination. A character like Pyrrhus should not have that kind of statement ultimately. This is something that not approvable on the part of Simone de Beauvoir. I think that if we read Tennyson's Ulysses came from war, and then he is back in Ithaca, and then what did he find over there? Everyone having a kind of a very lackadaisical nature. They don't have any hurry in their life. They are all, satiated, they're satisfied. They don't have any philosophical inquiry. They don't have any kind of more curiosity to do more and more. Even Ulysses doesn't find his own son, Telemachus, to be energetic, to be full of vigor, stamina, adventurous. So at the end of the poem, Tennyson's Ulysses, we find with all the men who are still curious to be a part of Ulysses, they are planning to leave their, place and to go beyond somewhere, beyond a particular, place through sea. They are planning to move ahead of that. Now, Pyrrhus and Cineas are so this particular brilliant characters, and they are actually understanding enhances some of the very basic questions of existentialism. Okay, that I was saying that no doubt the term existentialist is never approved initially by Simone de Beauvoir, because when that Grenier was there to ask de Beauvoir, what about particular question? Then we find Simone de Beauvoir remained embarrassed. Simone de Beauvoir had no response immediately at that very moment. Now, she was there to reply Grenier that, okay, she has gone through Kierkegaard and the existential philosophy, and also she has gone through a little about Heidegger, but she is not familiar with that existentialist question. Now, Pyrrhus at Cineas actually creates that kind of a new dimensions, a new approach. And here at this very point, we find Simone de Beauvoir is a bit taking a new position that was not taken by her partner, Sartre. And two texts are often compared at this very moment. One is Sartre's Being and Nothingness, and the another one is Simone de Beauvoir's Pyrrhus at Cineas. Now, being and nothingness, the kind of bleakness, bleak philosophy, the kind of dark, shadowed, negative approaches often in some cases that we find in Sartre's Being and Nothingness. And critics are of the opinion that, on the other hand, Simone de Beauvoir's Pyrrhus at Cineas, it is more positive, okay? Because going away from Sartre, we find Simone de Beauvoir, who is talking more about notion of freedom, notion of situation, and notion of other social and the cultural relations. And the originality, the new voice, the new approach of situation and facticity that Simone de Beauvoir is actually promoting here, that is very vital. Now, when I am using two very important terms, one is situation and one is facticity. So let me make it clear that situation is something and facticity is something else. And situation is not the mundane, lexical term that we use in our everyday life. The situation in Simone de Beauvoir's, glossary, it is philosophical term. Obviously, it talks more about context. Situation is actually a contextual position of an individual. It talks human beings, quote unquote, ideas of being, how the person is, and the individual's consciousness, and how the person is contextually positioned in the world and in the surroundings. In what particular way the man is contextually attached to. Now, my situation in a society is something I am only because of someone else's are there, and my position is meaningful in the context of the other individuals' existence. When they are not there, for example, I am a teacher only when students are there. And when there is no student at all, so the being of being a teacher, it doesn't make any meaning at all. So this quote unquote situation, the term that is found over there, it is very it depends on context and depends on certain situations. And another term that is very popular term in respect to Simone de Beauvoir, that is called facticity, is very significant and popular term, because facticity are some of the basic necessary connection Facticity actually are those facts on which an individual has nothing to do. For example, condition of birth. X is an individual. So regarding X's birth, in what particular way the man will be born, he or she has no capacity at all. He or she doesn't know when he or she will get birth. Okay? Regarding the body, no one has any capacity to have that particular power over body. Or, of course, some other philosophical questions might come up that people are nowadays experimenting with the body. We know Michael Jackson was there. We have Angelina Jolie and so many other figures internationally and also in our country who are continuously experiencing with the body. But if you think of the philosophical concept of the body, then you have nothing to do with your body. People are changing the color of your skin. It is that advancement of it. It requires a different kind of dimension of discussion. But still, philosophically, your body is something that is not made by you. Your existence, your people, your death. We have nothing to do regarding death. When it will come and when not. Now, so many people are making suicide. So this is separate event. But if we think of that universal truth called death, no one has any hand. Birth, death is something, such facticity on which an individual has no certain capacity over this. So Beauvoir is actually talking about this situation. The situation which is very much necessary, the situation that is actually connected to. Now I will come to my last point today that was actually announced at the very beginning of our discussion. This one is the idea of transcendence. Now, the discussion of existential phenomenology will remain incomplete if we don't talk about transcendence. Now, transcendence is the capacity of going beyond. Okay? Now, this is a concept that influenced so many, thinkers, existential thinker, and Beauvoir also got very much influenced by this particular term, transcendence. And it was not something that Beauvoir used the term for the first time. Rather, Beauvoir was very much influenced by that very famous thinker, Heidegger. Now, Heidegger had a very important statement that man is a kind of a creature of distances. He is always somewhere else. It's a very important and significant comment that Heidegger put so many days back. Now, how can this be? How can an individual be somewhere else all the time? Is it possible? It is possible. As this, existential thinkers, they often say that, those who are present in the class right now, those who are attending this lecture right now, I'm sure that you don't have that. In spite of your best efforts, you cannot concentrate all the time. While you are trying your best to concentrate on the lecture, at the same time, few other questions are also coming in your mind that you have to, after the class, call someone. You have to attend a particular program today, and you have to go and, complete that project that you have in mind. You are also very tensed because of this corona situation, the COVID-19 situation, second wave scenario, and how near and dear ones in every family, they are passing away all on a sudden without any notice. So, this is human being. They are actually never fixed in spite of anything. It is a basic human condition. And now the existentialists say that we, the human beings, we are always alien. We are always alien to contextually any condition. We are always engaged to some other events. When you are engaged in one particular event, at the same time, something else is actually happening in your brain. We are going beyond. We are moving ahead. We are actually transcending our position because we perpetually make choices. We want to go beyond our limitations. We want to reach some other places where we think always that we may find some better, better knowledge, better position, better understanding, better social, philosophical, position may come to us. So this very, tendency to go beyond our ordinary understanding, this is one of the essential ingredients that we find that Simone de Beauvoir focused on. She focused on almost all of her writings, those particularly based on philosophical writings. At the same time, the position of transcendence can be also applied in that magnum opus called The Second Sex. And how in Second Sex, the idea of transcendence was applied, how she actually made us convinced that, women as an individual, women as their position may be at that very moment, they would like to go beyond their basic social structure and the position because they want to move ahead. They want to go ahead. So this is something that I had to say today. So that much from my side. And we shall be back once again with new ideas and new other philosophical inquiries in the works of Simone de Beauvoir. So thank you so much for your listening. That's all.